Good evening. This is July 11th, and this is an update on the global currency reset. I wanted to brief you because the last session for the DCTV network of global corporate control was not broadcast because of technical difficulties. The video from Jean Rose about Switzerland and Stop the Nazis is what he was talking about. This was interrupted, and we're going to be showing that instead of the live broadcast this coming Tuesday. Therefore, I wanted to update you because there's been quite a bit of developments. On the 4th of July, there was a meeting between Russia and Japan, and I had contacted the state defense forces to let them know about this meeting because Japan obviously is extremely concerned if the Federal Reserve notes are going to be financing the U.S. military. There's not going to be very much defense provided for Japan. And we have been contacting the joint Japan-U.S. committee. This is my cat. All right, Mocha, go away. We're not interested in you. Sorry about that interruption. So the Joint Japan-U.S. Committee under the Status of Forces agreement between Japan and the United States. This is the way that we have been keeping the United States military honest, because there was a possibility of defending the United States and Japan without having to go through the bureaucracy in the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And the problem, of course, is with the Knights of Malta, and in particular with General Joseph Dunford, who has been acting also as the de facto head of state of the United States, because there's a second secret constitution which was put into effect by the bankers in 1871, and this is no longer in effect because we have declared the United States in interregnum. The U.S. Congress has been refusing to convene a convention which was required under Article 5 of the Constitution of 1789. And we have also been analyzing in great detail exactly how each and every member of the U.S. Congress has been treasonous. This is because of the legal actions that Bill Walker has brought. And it's now very clear that the United States, if it wants to return to the Constitution of 1789, will have to do so via the convention, which is now required to be called and which the U.S. Congress has refused to convene. And because of this interregnum, and because the United States is not accessing its monetary gold reserves that are on deposit in a trust fund that was set up at the end of World War II. And this was agreed to by General Eisenhower and also President Truman. And I am now the de facto head of state, and I'm representing the United States government on the board of governors of the World Bank and IMF. This has been agreed to by the ministers of finance. This is only an interim arrangement. It's not something that I was seeking, but it was something that needed to happen in order for the entire world to avoid a second dark ages, because the paper currencies, and especially the Federal Reserve note, are no longer stable, and it is necessary to transition out of that currency. And what I had said to the Russians via the chief editor of TASS, and what I also said to the Japanese, the Committee of the United States and Japan under the Status of Forces Agreement, I've been in contact with them since 2014 when I was in Tokyo. And what I said was that Japan and Russia did not have to worry, because we had heard from the state defense forces and they were going to provide access to the Bureau of Printing and Engraving in Texas so that we could print Treasury dollars to replace the Federal Reserve notes. And there was a meeting today. One of the people who had reassured us that the state defense forces were going to defend the people of the United States and the United States Constitution. Well, that meeting did not go off as we had hoped, which is to say that the person who had provided the reassurance then said that he was not authorized to speak on behalf of the Adjutant General. And this, after he gave us the reassurance, you can imagine what our reaction was. We're keeping our channels of communication open. And at the moment, what I am authorized to tell you is, this is from the Texas Lightfoot Militia, and this is from a person who's authorized to speak on their behalf. I've been following your letters and am wondering what role the Texas Lightfoot Militia will have in the United States part of the global currency reset. We have Lightfoot military detachments in 23 states, and we know the cartel would love to round all of our constitutional militia up and throw us in their FEMA camps or other means as they attempt their further reign of terror and false flags. Now, I got back in touch with this person and I said that I appreciated their reassurance, and at the moment we do not want there to be a confrontation. What I asked them to do was to get in touch with their contacts with the Adjutants General so that the reassurance that we provided to Japan and Russia would be in actual effect. At the moment, as I said, the person who had given us that reassurance backed off and said that he was not authorized to speak on their behalf. So that is where we are. I call it exactly as it is. And I have been in touch with a number of people. We're in process. I don't think people should get alarmed at this, for the very reason that there are a lot of people that are paying very close attention to what's going on. And I think the governors of the 50 states are paying extremely close attention, because one of the other developments that has happened recently is that these governors are not providing legal title of the property of their citizens. There are a number of things that these governors are not doing, and they're on the hook. And we're hoping that they will come through. But at the moment, where we are is we're very much in process. I'm optimistic that the process will result in a global currency reset, because we are basing this on the very accurate political science power transition model that came from the Department of Defense, and it has been tracking very, very accurately the coalitions that have been forming. It predicted that there would be rule of law ever since Elaine Colville and I got our statements up on the UK Parliament website. And what has happened in the United Kingdom, as everyone knows, is that the British elites have accurately counted the votes whether or not the British citizens want to remain as a member of the European Union. And there's been a fair amount of discussion about this, because I had pointed out that 4 members of Parliament had specifically inquired of what was going on with the UK monetary gold reserves. And when I tried to answer this question, to tell people that had raised the question that the members of Parliament were Louise Ellman, Angela Smith, Tracy Crouch, and Sir Tony Cunningham did not specifically ask questions about the global debt facility, but he did raise questions about the accuracy and integrity of the department, the DFID. Also, there was a very spirited exchange with the Member of Parliament, David Jones. And I put all of this correspondence out on the internet again. So we now see that the United Kingdom citizenry and their elites are pulling together in exposing this corruption. And this is exactly what the power transition model predicted was going to happen after Elaine Colville and I testified about the corruption in the center of the international financial system. So this is the other thing that just was revealed today, is that there will be no second vote and there will not be another recount. And this is obviously a disappointment to the network of global corporate control. You'll recall that this is a company, a single company, that has been corrupting all of the governments and has thought that people were going to be too stupid to find out exactly what this company was up to. And instead, what you have is very detailed understanding of how this company has acted through the ages. One of the things that I've recently done is I've started reading a bit about the work in the Moscow State University on how all of our ancient history has been just completely fabricated. This happened by a Jesuit named Petavius and also a scavenger. These people just completely fabricated Roman history. For example, Herodotus was actually in the Middle Ages, and pictures of his library, you can see in the publications, pictures of his library they're just taken from the Middle Ages. And the scholars in the past, there's an N.A. Morozov. He lived between 1854 and 1946, and he had already signaled that there were problems with the dates in the history books. Sir Isaac Newton, who lived between 1642 and 1727, he was the scientist who detailed the law of gravity. Well, he waited to the very last year of his life to reveal some of the problems that he discovered with the dates in history and how they had been falsified. But he actually had resisted that this research of his would be published, and it was nevertheless published, and people said that he was dabbling in areas that he had no expertise in. So this falsification and systemic lies that this corporation has been foisting on all of us are now coming to light, and this is a one-way street. It's only getting more and more apparent to a growing number of people. So I do not expect that we're going to end up with the playbook that the network of global corporate control has been planning for us. I think they're now scrambling as very developments that were very much foreseen by the power transition model that we're working from, and that the network of global corporate control didn't think we were going to manage to. They didn't think we were going to manage to unite, and I believe that that's exactly what is happening. There is a coalescing of this coalition, and I expect what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be working on two fronts simultaneously, because you will recall in the previous broadcast at DCTV, I was talking about going to see the accounts of the global debt facility in Euroclear, and I had invited Japan and Russia and the other 6 executive directors on the board of the World Bank to go with me. I'm one of the 7 individuals that's authorized to see these accounts. And I gave the numbers of the accounts to Euroclear. I didn't hear back from Euroclear. So this is something that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to go to the group of 77, which is actually 134 developing countries. The contact there is with the Minister of Finance in Colombia, and you will recall that when the spring meetings happened, I went to the Embassy of Colombia in Washington and had those minutes approved. I also went to the Embassy of Pakistan, and I went to the Embassy of Austria, and I'm going to be going to various embassies to see whether the world is prepared to allow this network of global corporate control to continue to bamboozle us, although, as I said, a growing number of people are just simply no longer prepared to pay interest on country debt, which is a scam. There is no country debt. The network of global corporate control owes us $2 quadrillion. These are Treaty of Versailles bonds that were issued in 1934. So I don't really have anything else to say other than I'm going to be keeping you all informed as we go forward. My position is to be in the very center, and I do not have my own agenda. Most people understand that now. I'm simply passing messages from one side to the other and letting people know exactly where we are. And if anyone thinks that I'm doing anything else, they had better prove it, because so far I've been able to document every single thing I say, including the fact that General Dunford tried very hard to steal the world's monetary gold reserves. You can see the correspondence. He is not a white knight. He is a Knight of Malta. And he is working for the network of global corporate control. For the United States to get back its monetary gold reserves, there is one way, and that is for the Board of Governors of the World Bank to allocate those reserves, and that has already happened. We simply have to take delivery of them. Thank you. Good night.